I'm proud of the achievements of the Muslims of this country from '97. In 1997 we got our first Muslim MP. In 2001 we had 2 Muslim MPs. In 2005 we had 4 Muslim MPs. Inshallah in 2009-10 we'll have 8 Muslim MPs. In 2014 we'll have 16 Muslim MPs. At this rate the whole Parliament will be Muslim.
If you want us to live under Sharia law, and you yourself would like to live under Sharia law, why do you go and live in somewhere like Iran?
Well, who said to you that you own Britain anyway? Britain belongs to Allah. The whole world belongs to Allah.
There's hysteria at the mere suggestion that elements of Sharia might be included into British law. For Britain's 2 million Muslims, Sharia's inseparable from their faith, and it goes a lot further than the requirement to pray 5 times a day. Sharia law is a whole code for living, based on the Islamic holy scriptures, the Quran.
Sharia itself is coming from an Arabic word, shira'a, which means the source of water. Water is the source of life. In the same way, Sharia is the source of spiritual life of a Muslim. Sharia means how a Muslim should live.
Britain's top judge says the nation should allow Islamic Sharia law. The head of the Church of England said the same thing. Police dogs might have to wear booties when they search Muslim homes to avoid offending Muslims who believe dogs are unclean. And Britain's Home Secretary has decided that Islamic terrorism should be renamed anti-Islamic activity. There is a real fear of Islam in Britain that is far different than in America, and the headlines here sometimes make it look as if capitulation to Islam is inevitable.
It's somewhat astonishing that in a nation of 60 million people, a couple million Muslims could cause so much concern. Critics of the government say that's because Britain's politically correct leadership has been so slow to tackle this problem head-on.
So-called hate speech is illegal in Britain, but it depends on who is doing the hating. When these British citizens protested the Muhammad cartoons at the Danish embassy in London in 2006, they expressed their allegiance to terrorists. They called for beheadings and nuclear attacks. British police arrested no one until there was a public uproar. Compare that to when a British news program exposed violent rhetoric in local mosques. British police initially decided to charge not the radical imams who were promoting violence and bigotry, but the news program that did the report for allegedly stirring up racial hatred. But the wake-up calls over political correctness have been getting more frequent and more horrific. It could be argued that Britain's commitment to ethnic diversity cost this woman her life. Banaz Mahmoud's family tried repeatedly to kill her because she left an arranged marriage and allegedly stained the family honor. Banaz recorded this video account from a hospital bed the first time her family tried to kill her. She also went to British police several times asking for help, but they ignored her because police thought they should respect ethnic diversity and not get involved. Banaz was finally murdered by her father and uncle, stuffed into a suitcase and buried in this backyard.
Paul Marshall is a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute, an expert on Sharia law. What we just witnessed, is this radicalized Sharia law in Saudi Arabia, or is this the regular stuff?
This is a radicalized form. What the Saudis do, you don't find it in many other places.
Okay. Now, what is taking a foothold? What we just talked about, it is starting to spread, and we're starting to see it in places like Great Britain, where there is a subculture, another set of laws that aren't on anybody's books. Is that radicalized Sharia law?
What some of the things happening in Britain are, Sharia can cover everything from how you pray. It deals with divorce and marriage, and then it also deals with murder and adultery. In Britain and in Canada and other places, most of the push for Sharia has been about marriage, divorce, inheritance. But there are now cases in Britain where, in a case of assault, in a case of stabbing, some Muslims set up a sort of their own Sharia court and adjudicated that on their own, and in fact the family of the person who'd done the stabbing paid the family of the person who'd been stabbed, and that's all that happened there.
Is this the same law that is allowing people in Europe, at least in their own head, to get away with honor killings?
It overlaps with that.
Explain that for anybody who doesn't know what an honor killing is.
An honor killing is that if someone in your family has done something shameful, the whole family is ashamed. Let's say your daughter's been going out with a guy you didn't want her to go out with, or let's say one of your family members stopped being a Muslim, became an atheist or a Christian or something. That this brings shame on your family. To get rid of that shame, you have to kill the person.
Room of a kebab shop in East London, students of the London School of Sharia have gathered to talk to me about how Islamic law operates in the UK today. A recent study by think tank Civitas concluded there are around 85 Sharia courts currently operating in Britain. Anjem Chowdhury sits in judgment at one of them.
We're a service free of charge to the Muslim community as a reference point for Islamic matters in marriage, in divorce, in partnership and company disputes, for inheritance matters, for people who want to become Muslim, and general advice and rules. If somebody lost a finger because he was hit by somebody unnecessarily, then he deserves the equivalent of 10 camels, and whatever that may be in sterling.
Chowdhury wants to establish an Islamic state in Britain and institute fully fledged Sharia law throughout. That would mean cutting off people's hands for stealing and stoning women for adultery. But in the absence of a state to support that, for now he can only judge civil matters. These men study under Chowdhury at the London School of Sharia, and they've all had dealings with his court. Saladin, formerly known as Richard, has been a Muslim for just 5 weeks. Chowdhury provided him with a certificate of conversion.
I would discuss with Anjem and various other brothers how I came about becoming a Muslim and why I'm a Muslim and what it is that I believe. And then I'd do your Shahada to confirm that that is what you believe.
If Saladin decides he no longer wishes to be part of the faith, the penalty under full Sharia law is death. This man reconciled with his wife in a Sharia court. He says it's a more selfless system of decision-making.
We refer to Almighty Allah in all of our rights, and obviously we go there not being biased to Muslims, but rather wanting to follow the Sharia, and obviously whatever, even if it's in favour of my wife, we submit to that.
Sharia law has been operating here in parallel to the British legal system since 1982, but think tanks worry about coercion when it comes to women submitting to judgment in Islamic courts.
There are many women working on the front line of domestic violence issues, honour-related violence, people who run shelters, who would attest to the fact that many people that they see do not go to these courts voluntarily, and that they're forced by either the men in their family or in their community. And this is a very, very serious issue and needs to be addressed.
That's a real fear in Britain, where so-called honour killings are becoming more common. Recently, police warned a married woman that her life could be in danger after her boyfriend was near fatally attacked with bricks and acid. She's now in hiding. This is London's biggest mosque, where thousands of British Muslims worship every week. Studies show only the most radical of them want Sharia law introduced fully into the UK, but that hasn't stopped the Muslim Arbitration Tribunal promising to triple the number of Sharia courts operating in Britain by the end of the year.